Hi, my name is Yin Gao, and welcome to Dr. Gao's classroom. I'm a professional philosopher, and I love classical Chinese poetry. I have been translating classical Chinese poetry for the last few years with a colleague of mine. I would love to share my knowledge on the subject with you. Your enjoyment is my command. In my first two videos, I told the life story of Wang Wei, his early success as an artistic prodigy, and his unfortunate fall from grace. Although Wang Wei, comparing to Li Bai and others, lived a privileged life due to his aristocratic background, his life was not an easy one. The early failure in court politics, the loss of his beloved wife at the age of 31, the traumatic experience during the An-Lushan Rebellion, all these experiences, given his gentle constitution, made it extremely hard for Wang Wei to continue his political career. By his early 40s, the Buddhism, or we can call it the Sino-sized Buddhism, poetry, painting, become the solace for his tormented soul. So today, I'm going to explain and translate two of my favorite poems from Wang Wei to show you what one could do if you have Wang Wei's talents, the musical and the visual art talents. For my next video, because I hinted in my first video that there might be a bit of rivalry between the great poet Li Bai and Wang Wei, so in my next two videos, I'm going to dig around to see if we could find any clue to substantiate my claim. So I'm going to do a bit of detective work. If you're intrigued, please check out my next video. If you're new to my channel, please check out my videos on classical Chinese poetry. If you like the content of these videos, please subscribe my channel. I also offer online one-to-one lessons on classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and literature of traditional Chinese medicine. So if you would like to read these classics with me, please contact me. I listed my email down below. Otherwise, please enjoy my video. The first poem I'm going to translate today is in the title of Spectacle of Hunting, or 观猎. The poem reads like a short film packed with action. Here is a calligraphy piece of this poem. I know you might not be able to read it, but I just want to show you how beautiful calligraphy can be. 风尽角功名，将军列未成。草枯鹰眼疾，雪尽马蹄轻。忽过新丰市，还归细柳营。回看射雕处，千里暮云平。So now let's look at them line by line. 风尽角功名. 风 is wind. 劲 is strong. 角 is the horn that decorated the bow. And 弓 is the bow. 鸣 is the singing sound of the string in the wind. 将军列未成. So 将军 is the general. 列 is hunt. And Wei is the name of the fortress, and Cheng is the fortress. I translate the Cheng as a fortress rather than the modern Chinese meaning of city. This is because in classic Chinese, Cheng literally means wall, as in the case of Changcheng, the Great Wall, which literally means the long wall. So in classic Chinese, Cheng means a walled fortress. And Weicheng is the old fortress of the Qin Dynasty capital, Xianyang. So I translate the Weicheng as Xianyang Fortress. It is to the northwest of the Tang Dynasty capital, Chang'an, functioning as the last defense before the enemy from the north could reach Chang'an. When you put these two lines together, it reads, the powerful wind twines the decorated bow. The general hunts near the old Xianyang fortress. The poem starts with the alarming sound of howling wind and the twining of a bowstring, then followed by the grand entrance of the great general hunting outside of the fortress. In addition to the sound effect, there is the striking image of the pulled bow with zinging string in the howling wind. And the general, probably with all the hunting gears, including his hunting falcon, introduced in the next line. 草枯鹰眼鸡. 草 is grass, 枯 is withered, and 鹰 is the falcon, and 眼 is the eye, and 鸡 is sharp, and 雪尽马蹄轻. 雪 is snow. 尽 normally translated as used up, but here it's like the snow is melting, it's almost gone. So 尽 is also means that it's almost gone, like used up and it's gone. So 尽 is here translated as melting, and 马 is horse, and 蹄 is the horse hoof, and 轻 is light. So the falcon is sharp-eyed when the grass is withered, and the horse hoof makes light of the despairing wind. Like I said earlier, the poem reads like a short film. After the grand entrance of the general, the imagined camera sort of zoom in on the sharp eyes of the hunting falcon, which are scanning through the weathered grass for games. The character Ji here literally means something that moves very fast, such as in the phrase of 疾驰 means a horse or a carriage runs very fast. But here it means the falcon's eye quickly scan across the vast plain while flying very fast, which intensify the scene of the horse galloping through the vast plain. Then the camera zoom out to let the general on his horses into our view again, and shows the horse hooves seemingly only lightly touch on the melting snow. So this is the second couplet. The third one, again, more accent. 忽过新丰市，还归细柳营. So 忽 is like a moment of suddenly, and 过 is pass through, and 新 is new, 丰 is harvest, and 市 is market. 还归细柳营. So 还归 is like a returning somewhere, or returning home, or returning to their campus. And 细 here is a thin, and 柳 is the willow, 营 is camp, it's the military camp. So 细柳 is the name of the military camp. And if you put these two lines together, it means no sooner they pass the new harvest market than they arrive at the thin willow camp. So this is like a camera suddenly sort of filled up with more accents, and the general and his men rush through the huge plain in lightning speed. One moment they were at the market, known for its delicious wine, that was the 新丰市. The next moment, they are at the thin willow camp. I actually looked up the map of Chang'an, today's Xi'an city in the province of Shanxi. Here is the map. From the map, you can see the general and his men run a full circle around the capital of Chang'an in just a few moments. That is how fast they are. And then the poem concludes with a panoramic view. So let's read it. 回看射雕处. So 回 is like a turn back. 看 is look. 射 is like a shoot. 雕 is the vulture. 处 is a place. 千里暮云平. So 千 is a thousand. 里 is mile, like how many mile. 暮 is the evening or the dusk. 云 is cloud. 平 is quite interesting here. 平 usually means flat in modern Chinese. I think here it refers to the flat line when the clouds meet a vast plain. I just translate as the horizon. So if you put these two lines together, it reads, he looks back to where he shoot down the vulture, 1,000 miles of dark clouds meeting the horizon. So the whole poem reads like a well-crafted short film with perfect sound effect, striking scenes, and full of action. Yet the concluding scene is a peaceful panoramic view when the general and his party settle down after hunting, probably with lots of games, including a huge vulture. So in the Tang Dynasty, Few poets write like this. 400 years later, a great Song Dynasty poet Su Shi commented on Wang Wei's poetry, stating, 为摩诘之诗，诗中有画. So 味 is savoring or savor. 摩诘 is Wang Wei. 诗 is poetry. And 之 is like, someone's. He is referring to Wang Wei's poetry. And 诗 again means poetry. 中 is like inside. 有 is have. 画 is painting. 观摩诘之画，画中有诗. 观 is view. 摩诘 again is Wang Wei. 之 again is of someone's. 画 is painting. 画 again is painting. 中 is yin again. 有 is have. 诗 is poetry. So if you translate this comment, it reads, savoring on Wang Wei's poetry, it has the quality of a painting. Viewing Wang Wei's painting, it has a poetic beauty to it. So this is my sort of translation of Su Shi's comment. Maybe one day I'll do a few videos on Su Shi. He's also one of my favorite poets. If this poem presented a short film full of action that makes your blood boiling with excitement, or the next poem presented a completely different scenario, let me show you the calligraphy. 空山新雨后，天气晚来秋。明月松间照，清泉石上流。竹喧归浣女，莲动下渔舟。谁忆春芳歇，王孙自可留。Now, let's look at the poem line by line. 空山新雨后. So, 空 is empty, 山 is mountain, 新 is new, 雨 is rain, and 后 is after. 天气晚来秋. 天气 is one word, is the weather, and 晚 is late. 来 here is not come, but it means like since sometime, so it's since. 秋 is autumn. So if you put these two lines together, it can be translated as, after new rain on the empty mountain, it's late autumn weather. And it follows by the scene in the pine forest. 明月松间照. So 明 is bright, 月 is moon, song is the pine tree, and 间 is like among them or between the trees, and 照 is shine, the moonlight shine on something. 清泉石上流. 清 is clear, 泉 is a spring, and 石 is rocks, and 上 is like on top of it or sort of flow over something, and 流 is flow. The two lines mean the bright moon shines among the pines. A clear spring flow over the rocks. After the scenery, here comes people. 竹喧归浣女. 竹 is bamboo, probably refer to all the bamboo forests. 喧 is noise. If you have a look of the character of 喧, it got a mouth on the left. So it means talking loudly, but here it is referred to the chattering woman who were coming home. And 归 is return or going home. And 浣女 is one word, the washerwoman. 莲动下渔舟. 莲 is the water lily. 动 is move. So 下 is a quite interesting character here because it usually means down below or beneath something. But here it's actually used as a verb, moving down to something. So here it's actually moved downstream because in the phrase of 下游, it's downstream, or 南下, so going to the south. So it's actually a word that moves down to the stream. Here you can translate as moving down the stream. 渔舟 is the fishing boat. If you translate these two lines, it means the bamboo grove is noisy with the washerwoman returning, the water lily moves as the fishing boat pass through. So here is a picture someone painted this scene. As you can see that there is all these beautiful young ladies carrying the silk they were washing. The washerwoman, actually, they were washing the silk. One of the women is still washing the silk, and the other woman just working from the water. And then you see at the background a boat, a fishing boat, with a fisherman rolling the boat. So this is a very peaceful scene describing how the people of the village. So after a whole day of laboring at the stream washing silk, the woman probably singing are going home, while the fishermen also going home on their boats, probably loaded with their whole day's catching. So the poet was certainly touched by the joyful spirit all around him, so that he was not his usual sorrowful self who would be, regretting the loss of the spring flowers and all that. The next line was very interesting. Let me read it. 随意芳春歇. 随意 is you can do whatever you want to do. 春 is spring, and 芳 is the blossom, and 歇 is over. 王孙至可留. Wang refers to the king. Sun is the grandson. Zhi is a still. Well, I translate it as still. Usually it's referred to the self or naturally. But here I think it's like, you decided what to do, so naturally. And 可 it's like a willing to. So if you translate these two lines, it means I don't care if the spring flowers are over, I'm still willing to remain. So this is like a beautiful picture of the life that Wang Wei enjoyed during his stay in his estate. So today we don't have the pleasure of viewing Wang Wei's painting like the Song poet Su Shi, but with Wang Wei's poem, we can still get a glimpse of the lives lived by the poet and his contemporaries more than 1,000 years later. So in my next video, I would like to talk about the friend shared by Wang Wei and Li Bai. His name is Meng Haoren. I'm not doing a video because he was a close friend of these two great poets, but because he was not only one of the great poets, but also a very interesting character full of contradiction in his personality and twist in his life. So if you're interested in knowing more about Li Bai, Du Fu, and Wang Wei, please subscribe my channel to view the videos about them. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on classical Chinese poetry, philosophy, and medical literature. So if you're interested in reading these classic texts with me, please contact me. I listed my email address down below. Otherwise, thanks for viewing my video, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Thank you.